I'm Robert Roth with Jet Space Magazine, and joining me today on Queer Voices is local activist, president of the Capitol Hill Community Council, and director of communications and education for Pride Foundation, and my friend, Zachary DeWolf. Hi, Zachary. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Now that is a lot.
Yes.
You're a very busy individual. When did you decide to pursue a career in activism?
It actually was like something I stumbled upon. I was in the Peace Corps. I had a project that was focusing on a totally different issue. It was working with village councils in one of the districts in Belize. And certainly fun and fulfilling work and kept me busy. But I had come out maybe 2 years before the Peace Corps, and I kind of wanted to be doing something that felt like I was doing something with that part of my identity that I hadn't been able to do.
What was that like, being a young queer person in Belize?
You know, at first it was very isolating, and then what I learned was that it was more exciting when I was around other people just like myself. So I organized a small group. We called ourselves Equal Belize. We maybe used the HRC logo in a way. We changed it up a little bit and made it our own and did work for the community, community service. We planted trees, we did cleanups, and we ended up doing this mural. It had a rainbow on it, which is just a generally beautiful thing. I mean, it's even in the Bible, which is one of the reasons that we kind of got caught. And across the country, but also locally, people were really frustrated that we were trying to spread the homosexual agenda, specifically blaming me as this American. So it was kind of what sparked this idea that, like, I'm not gonna face people that don't see me as fully human. I'm not gonna face that with fear, but I'm gonna look that in the face and say, we still got some fight, and we're gonna see that we deserve equal rights just like you. And it kind of sparked this interest that I didn't even know I had. When I was in college, not being out, it was like, don't draw any attention to yourself, just go under the radar. But I think when you're just really empowered in who you are, it's like, how can I serve and help lift other people up? And
yeah, that pendulum definitely swung the other way.
Yeah.
Because you were not under the radar.
No, not at all anymore. No.
Well, you're originally from Montana.
Yeah.
Where else have you lived before you moved to Seattle?
So after I was born on the Rocky Boy Reservation, I'm an enrolled member of the Chippewa tribe. My mom moved us to Spokane. As wonderful as a town as it is, it wasn't maybe as fully accepting of part of my identities as maybe I would want. So I went to Bellingham for college. I went to Western Washington, and after that I got this really cool opportunity to work at Tom's Shoes after college. So there was this 6-month internship I had there, and I got to live in LA. I had just got out of college. I was out maybe for a year at this point, and it just was so fun. And then I decided to go to the Peace Corps, kind of make that official, do that kind of thing I've always wanted to do, and it brought me to Belize. And then I did this thing called the Soul Force Equality Ride, and we zigzagged from Atlanta to San Francisco across the country on this kind of tour to fight for LGBTQ students on college campuses that were being discriminated against.
Oh, this is a ride on bikes?
I wish.
Okay.
Probably would have been a lot more fit. No, but it was a bus.
Oh.
Warm when it needed to be, cool when it needed to be. And then I wanted to set some roots, and this was, this felt like the perfect place. It just felt like home coming here after the Equality Ride. It was in a state that I already love. And it was in an area where I could be a little bit more free to be myself, and there's nothing more empowering when people see you as equal.
Now, you mentioned your mother had moved you to Spokane. Your mom's an attorney.
Yeah.
What kind of law does she practice?
I should know this.
Okay.
Social Security, family law. She does a lot of stuff with Indian child welfare, and she's trying to fulfill her promise to my grandfather and trying to defend and fight for our Native people, and I think she does a really great job, and I'm really super blessed to have her as both a mom but also a role model.
So you would say that's part of your motivation, having a mother who fights for equality?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that service is just part of what's in our veins, and for a while I didn't maybe see that was so important to me. I'd been involved when I was in school and high school and college, but didn't feel it as it was service. It just felt like something that was fun. But now as I've kind of gotten a little bit older, it's just been something that is so rewarding and is actually profoundly fulfilling. And in fact, I could be exhausted at 9 p.m., but if I'm doing something really exciting or serving, whether it's being on this board or volunteering and phone banking for this, it's actually gives me a lot of energy.
Well, what are some of the causes that you're putting that energy towards right now?
My favorite is my work with the Capitol Hill Community Council. I think that being in a neighborhood that is both very well known, but also one of the fastest growing in the city, there's a lot of opportunity to be a part of the conversations and shaping some of the change that's just naturally happening to the neighborhood. We are a neighborhood that's made up of 80% renters, and our philosophy at the Community Council has always been that every single person's our neighbor. So we represent everybody, every neighbor in our neighborhood, and that's whether you're in the mansion on 23rd, whether you are experiencing homelessness on Pike Pine, or whether you're somebody that has substance use addiction issues, or you're a young family that's in a really small studio until you can, until one of your partner gets the second job. So we represent everybody, and we're really proud that kind of promise isn't exclusive.
What are some of the things that the Capitol Hill Community Council does?
My favorite thing that we've been kind of engaging in for the last year and a half now has been how do we engage and empower renters to be involved in both civic and cultural life in the neighborhood and across the city, but also how do we enfranchise them, and are they being involved in local politics, and are they averse to it because they think that they can't be because they're renters? Commonly across the city, renters are called transients, not invested, you don't care, you're ruining the character of the neighborhood, like, I've been here for 40 years, you've been here for a year, like, what do you know? You don't care about this, you're not invested. So we're certainly cast as people that don't have a care or want to invest in our neighborhoods, but in fact, we chose the places we live because we love them. We want to be a part of them, and hopefully if we're lucky, we get to serve and help to make them better for the next generation, and that's frankly what I think a lot of people want to do. We're a fast-growing neighborhood in a fast-growing city, and people really want to be plugged in, and if people aren't being inviting to that, then you're going to see a lot of people that are just disengaged from what's happening in their city, and they will become disinvested. So we're trying to do work that actually engages and empowers them.
It's a good goal, I think, because I'm a renter. I've lived in Seattle for 8.5 years, and I've rented the whole time, and I know that while I was growing up, I looked at and I was taught that renting was a temporary condition, that you rented until you could afford to buy a place. And it seems pretty clear to me, given my lifestyle, that I will probably be a renter forever. So I appreciate work being done to have renters be more recognized.
Have you be more recognized? I mean, the thing is being a renter is a noble choice, just as it's noble to buy a home. And again, people like to think that it is the natural next step to something else. But in fact, for many people, it is their step. It is where they want to be. I've lived in buildings where there's 25-year renters. I've had a neighbor once that was 10 years, and there's also people that are just 1-year renters, and that's your choice. And that's the coolest part, is that nobody should ever define that you are somehow less than because you're a renter. I think it's great in the sense that we have a little bit more mobility. There's going to be a time where my husband and I maybe want a kid or maybe a second dog, and our apartment's probably not big enough. But where can we go that might have that for a price that we can afford? And if it happens to be in another neighborhood, like, we're really blessed to experience another community, another neighborhood, and that's something that people that own a place, it's not as easy. So we have a lot of advantages that I'm really excited and proud about. And frankly, when we engage with renters, we often actually broaden the conversation to be more exclusive. We are working right now on some really cool projects that actually will be beneficial to renters.
Renters represent a more economically disadvantaged portion of the community than homeowners do. And by tilting the scales towards homeowner needs, you're definitely overlooking a lot of people who are already used to being overlooked.
It's a little classist.
Yeah.
And frankly, they already have a lot of say in how things are run. Like I said, often because they have a house, they have a door, so people can knock on that, and people can make sure they're registered to vote. They have way more opportunities as homeowners to be empowered that their voice matters. Renters, we don't often have that. So the Capitol Community Council has been working with City Council to implement and hopefully very soon establish the first Renters Commission here in Seattle. And I think it's going to be a really exciting opportunity to elevate the voices and experiences of a very diverse and representative kind of membership of renters from across the city, so that when these conversations come up, we can talk about, rents are really high, and maybe if we just increase some of our urban villages and maybe increased height limits on some of the apartments, maybe that would mean that there's more apartments and we could slow down some of that rental increases, for example. But also, renters have an important say when it comes to parks and open spaces, transportation, schools. There's a lot of young families, single parents, or even kind of where things are located in proximity to them. Do they have access to health? Do they have access to fire and police? Like how close and accessible is that stuff to renters? And we all have a say in that, and that's the exciting thing. And I think this commission will really do a good job of elevating those voices.
Well, let's hope so. You've spent a lifetime working as an activist in politics. Given your experience, what would you say to someone who was expressing a similar interest? How would you recommend that they get involved in a cause they want to support or a candidate they want to support?
I think first thing is figure out what is your interest. And I think that's obviously maybe an easy thing, and people kind of like, I know what my interest is. But it's important to understand, do you have an interest in that issue, and you can get really nerdy wonky about it, and then kind of have that moment where you could talk about homelessness for like an hour and you kind of black out, and then you're like, oh my gosh, how do we solve this? And if that's your issue, then you got to run with that. And sometimes, I have a certain passion about homelessness, but there are other issues that I'm also really excited about that I get really wonky about, whether that's queer issues, whether that's about renters, whether it's about affordability. Obviously, homelessness connects with that, but what are the things I'm going to really dive into? So figure that out. We're a city that is well-resourced in nonprofits. I think, and I may be making this up, so this could start, classify the video as fake news, but I'm pretty sure, like, per capita, there's like 5 nonprofits per person. Like, we are just well-resourced. People are talking about every issue with many different organizations. So
we'll research that.
Yes.
We'll research that.
Yeah. So figure out what you like, find the organizations that are already doing that work, and connect with them. At Pride Foundation, we're always looking for volunteers. We're just about to head into a really big season. Our scholarship application closes actually on Friday. And after that, we're going to have to do 3 rounds of scholarship application review, and we'll need about 200 plus volunteers to help us go through the 500 to 1,000 scholarship applications that have been submitted.
Wow,
so
that many.
It's unfortunate that we don't have more resources to get every single one of those students financial support, but we do what we can for the students we can, and it'll be about 125 that we can fund substantially and healthily. And we're going to need 200 volunteers for that process, and just finding those kind of things that connect with what your heart and what you're passionate about, the places that are already doing it, and so many organizations. Volunteers are such an incredible asset, and so we're so grateful anytime anybody's wanting to volunteer, and you'll find that across the board. So find a place that wants that, and then get engaged and learn about the issues. If you want to go further, then honestly, start organizing, and it's really easy in this town. Of course, you'll say that. Yes, but in this town, that's the funnest thing to do, and it's so easy, and you find enough people that are really excited about some common values and some common goals, and organize yourselves and do something about it and change the world for the better.
And you're also, as president of the Capitol Hill Community Council, do they have volunteer opportunities as well?
Yeah, so we're a small organization. We're not funded. We do fundraising kind of scant throughout the year. But we have kind of 4 issue areas that people in the neighborhood defined for us at our yearly event in December. And the 4 priorities they said were race and social justice, affordability and homelessness, transportation and transit, and our work with LEED, MDT, and safe consumption sites. So
that's all.
Yes, not much. We probably could maybe add more. But those will need volunteers that are either already know about those issues or people that just want to start learning. And we'll host programming and events throughout the year that either inform or educate or activate people on those issues. And we always need people to come out and support us in kind of holding those and bringing the community together.
Well, yeah, those are some tough goals, but I think if we can accomplish them anywhere, it's probably here.
Yes, I believe that.
That has been our conversation with Zachary DeWolf. If you'd like to find more information about the Capitol Hill Community Council or Pride Foundation, check the description below this video. I'm Robert Roth for JetSpace Magazine. Thanks for joining us on Queer Voices. We'll see you next time.